I will resign as leader of the Labour Party.
Welcome on board the 10:55 from Manchester Piccadilly to London Euston. There is potentially a very important person on board. That person is Andy Burnham. You're looking over central London there. We are focused
in 300 yards. Announced his resignation as leader of the Labour Party. Mr Burnham has confirmed he will seek to succeed Sir Keir as Prime Minister following his victory in the Makerfield by-election last week. Our political correspondent Nick Eardley reports.
A huge number of Labour
Turn
MPs
left onto
turned up
Dawlish
to greet
Drive.
Andy Burnham in Westminster Hall this afternoon, from Starmer loyalists to Burnham's staunchest allies. Wes Streeting is also backing Mr Burnham after shelving his own leadership bid. That all suggests unstoppable momentum and the likelihood Andy Burnham
Continue
will
on
be Prime
Dawlish
Minister
Drive for half a
within
mile.
weeks. It could happen in mid-July under the timetable set out by Sir Keir Starmer. Sir Keir's allies are arguing history will remember him kindly, not least for changing the Labour Party after he became leader. Sir Keir said he had decided to resign after hearing the message from his party that they wanted someone else to lead them into the next general election.
A rare red weather warning for extreme heat for large parts of England and Wales has been announced by the Met Office. It comes into force on Wednesday morning and lasts until Thursday night. A separate amber alert is already in effect until tomorrow, with temperatures expected to reach up to 39 Celsius in some areas. These people in London are already struggling with the heat.
I think UK heat is something different to the rest of the world. So 36 degrees is going to be disgusting.
It is worrying for the future. The whole of Europe, I think, is under a huge heat wave. I suppose we're going to have to change a lot of what we do, but it's difficult.
In the south of France, the bodies of 2 children have been found in a car in an accident being linked to the heatwave there. The children, aged 2 and 4, had returned from a shopping trip with their mother. An investigation
In 200
being
yards
launched.
at the roundabout,
The former
continue
leader of the
straight onto
Democratic
Staines
Unionist
Road.
Party, Sir Geoffrey Donaldson, has been found guilty of 18 sex offences, including one of rape. He was charged after 2 women accused him of sexually abusing them when they were children. Our island correspondent Chris Page reports from Newry Crown Court.
Donaldson was driven away from the court in a prison van after being remanded into custody. The judge indicated he was facing a lengthy jail term. The man who had been the longest serving MP in Northern Ireland showed no emotion as the jury convicting him of all 18 charges. The offences were 1 count of rape, 13 of indecent assault and 4 of gross indecency.
In 200 yards at the roundabout, continue straight to stay on Staines Road.
Donaldson's 2 victims gave
In a
evidence
quarter of
during
a
the
mile,
course of the
turn
trial,
right
which
onto
lasted
Esher
for more
Road.
than 4 weeks. The former DUP leader will be sentenced in the autumn.
A man from Stockport accused of plotting with others to drug and rape his wife has pleaded guilty to some of the offences he's charged with, including sexual assault and sharing intimate images without consent. The man, who's in his 60s, denies several other charges. He can't be named to protect the identity of his wife. 13 other men have also been charged in the case. Police investigating maternity failings at Nottingham University Hospital's NHS Trust have arrested 2 men in connection with operating practices in the mortuary service. They're being held on suspicion of misconduct in a public office. An independent report by the senior midwife Donna Ockenden on the Trust's maternity services, which has examined hundreds of cases of babies dying or being injured, will be published on Wednesday. The former Wimbledon champion Marketa Vondrousova has
right
been
onto
banned for
Esher
4
Road,
years
then
for
turn
refusing
left
a
onto
drug
Betchworth
test last
Road.
year. The 26-year-old denied a doping control officer entry to her home to conduct the test in December, saying she feared for her safety. The tribunal determined Vondrousova
In 200
provided
yards,
no
turn
compelling
left onto Green
justification
Lane,
for refusing the
A1083.
test.
Thank you, Tina. Now, after Henry VII had beaten Richard III at the Battle of Bosworth, he made a triumphant ride into London to establish his authority and to take the throne, and he was crowned 8 weeks later. Things have and haven't changed since 1485. After the Battle of Makerfield last week, it was Andy Burnham arriving in London today, not on a horse, but on a delayed Avanti West Coast train, in fact, rendering him eligible for delay repay compensation. He arrived to a packed Euston station, accompanied by a few advisors rather than the yeomen of the guard.
Mr Burnham, you're live on BBC News. What's your reaction to the Prime Minister's resignation?
I made my statement, obviously praising the Prime Minister's dedication, service, and confirm that I will myself forward in the process that will soon be underway.
When Rishi Sunak did that and he became Prime Minister, you called for a general election. Would you be looking to do the same?
I think you're jumping several hurdles ahead there. My priority today is to become sworn in as the Mayor, as the MP for Makerfield.
Getting muddled about his roles. In fact, it was the day that Andy Burnham said farewell to his team at Greater Manchester. Now, he acknowledged there, not a cert for the crown yet, but is as good as. For today, though, the most important task was for him to be sworn in as an MP.
We now come to Andy Burnham, member for Makerfield.
Road be safe.
Turn left onto Green Lane, A1083.
I swear by Almighty God that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles, his heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God.
In case you missed the end of that exchange, an unidentified MP shouted from the benches, "He's not the Messiah," to which Andy Burnham replied with a smile, "Naughty boy," referencing, of course, that very famous Life of Brian scene. Now, I think you can expect a coronation within the next few weeks. Andy Burnham will be the 6th new Prime Minister since the Brexit referendum. Assuming he does make it, his route to power will have been altogether more peaceful than Henry VII's. But it was today that everything slotted into place for him. So let's go back to where it started this morning, with Keir Starmer bowing to the inevitable.
The question being asked now is not who was best placed to change the Labour Party, to take us into power and to begin the vital work of improving lives for millions of people. Those questions have been answered. The question my party is asking
In
now
half a mile, at the roundabout,
is whether
turn
I
right
am
to stay
best
on Green
placed
Lane,
to lead us
A1083.
into the next general election. I have heard the answer of my parliamentary party to that question, and I accept that answer with good grace. Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first. That is why I will resign as leader of the Labour Party. I have spoken to His Majesty the King this morning to inform him of my decision.
In fact, it was an emotional address in Downing Street from the Prime Minister at that lectern, and him setting out a process to find his successor. But the second very big bit of news today was that very quickly, former Health Secretary Wes Streeting fell in behind Andy Burnham, offering him his support. Wes Streeting had been seen as Andy Burnham's most likely rival.
We can do something the Conservatives failed to do, which is to pull together, to change, to win back support that we've lost in the country, to deliver the mandate that we're elected on, and to make sure that the people who have felt disappointed by Labour feel they got the Labour government they voted for. I think Andy's capable of doing that. That's why he's got my full backing.
What's the catch? Has he offered you the Chancellor's job, the Foreign Secretary's job?
He has not offered me any jobs. That's not what our conversations have been about. This has been about ideas, about the ideas that we need to deliver the mandate we were elected on, but also to rebuild trust in the Labour Party and to rebuild hope in our country again.
So that was Wes Streeting today after the Prime Minister's announcement backing Andy Burnham. He was talking to the BBC's political editor, Chris Mason. We are in this awkward period where we all think Andy Burnham will be the next Prime Minister, but we can't actually report he's going to be Prime Minister because we aren't 100% sure. But let us just talk through what happens next and this timetable that was initiated by the Prime Minister in his Downing Street address. Our political correspondent Joe Pike is with me. So Joe, just talk us
in
through
100 yards
what the
at
Prime
the
Minister
roundabout,
said
take the first
and
exit
how
onto
quickly
Winston
that
Way,
means it could be
A118.
Burnham in number 10, and how slowly could mean Burnham in number 10?
A very good question. Maybe months, probably weeks, and the speed of that shift is already pretty remarkable to behold, Evan, partly because of the Streeting endorsement you mentioned. It may have ended the leadership contest before it's even started. There is, though, a timetable, and Labour's NEC officers have met to discuss it in the last hour or so. Two key dates. Firstly,
exit the
9th
roundabout
of July,
onto
so
Winston
in about,
Way.
2.5 weeks' time. That's when
In
nominations
100 yards,
nominations
at the
open
roundabout,
for
take the
leadership
third
candidates.
exit onto
A
Griggs
week
Approach.
later, on the 16th, they close, just as Parliament's summer recess begins. So I suppose one unknown is, could we see Andy Burnham consolidate his position in the intervening weeks? Probably the more likely eventuality. Or
In
will
a quarter
his,
of a mile, at the
some would argue,
roundabout,
rather
take the
unclear,
third exit and
unscrutinised
stay on
pitch to
Winston
BPM
Way,
accidentally
A118.
encourage a challenger? The key things you need to challenge, of course, 81 MPs, but also either 5% of constituency Labour parties or at least 3 affiliates, including 2 unions. So the earliest we could have a new Prime Minister is the day after, I suppose, nominations close, the 17th of July. If there's a contest, we're probably looking at early September. Right. And it's probably worth saying, Evan, what is odd is Andy Burnham's team do not seem in a rush. He has coveted this job for decades. Now it's been offered him on a plate. He doesn't seem too keen to rush in.
But it's unlikely to be before the 16th of July, because they will wait till the closing of nominations, even though by then we surely will know whether anyone else is running. They'll wait until then before they can say, OK, there is only one candidate, it is Andy Burnham, and so he is going to be Prime Minister.
And it may be clear quite a way ahead of that close of nominations that we realise. Of course, Keir Starmer was criticised for not having a plan. He was in opposition for 4 years. Andy Burnham may only have a matter of weeks to put that plan together. Before then, we do have this NATO summit in Ankara in Turkey on the 7th and 8th of July, maybe Keir Starmer's last appearance on the world stage. That was the deadline for him unveiling the Defence Investment Plan, which of course prompted the funding of which prompted John Healey's resignation as Defence Secretary. Will we now see it? Does a PM who some would now see as a bit of a lame duck have the power to make such long-term decisions? There was also this EU summit planned, a UK EU summit, and that has been canned.
Yeah, let's just listen to Antonio Costa, who's the European Council President, because there was this summit planned, quite an important summit for all parts of the Keir Starmer EU reset. This is what Antonio Costa said today.
Now we have been working very hard and in a very exciting mood to have...
He'd been in Parliament for almost 3 decades, making him the longest serving MP in Northern Ireland. The current DUP leader, Gavin Robinson, said Donaldson should be stripped of his knighthood.
Abuse, preying on the innocent, and taking advantage of the vulnerability of children in particular is evil. But Jeffrey Donaldson's lies and his cover-ups have been uncovered, and the spotlight of justice shone upon them should serve as a reminder that perpetrators cannot outrun justice.
Donaldson's wife, Lady Eleanor Donaldson, was charged with 5 offences, including 4 of aiding and abetting her husband's offending. She was ruled unfit for a conventional trial on mental health grounds, and instead went through a legal process known as a trial of the facts, where there could be no criminal conviction. The jury found that she did the acts of which she was accused. Sir Jeffrey Donaldson will return to court in the autumn, when he'll be sentenced.
A rare red warning for heat has been issued by the Met Office for parts of England and Wales, indicating a risk to life as temperatures are forecast to climb as high as 40 Celsius this week. The warning, which is the most severe of the Met Office alerts, is in place for Wednesday and covers London, areas of the Midlands and south of England, as well as South Wales. Here's our climate editor, Justin Rowland.
Red weather warnings are very rare. This is only the 2nd time one has been issued for heat. It means even the fit and healthy are at risk. And at the Ridgeway Special Needs School in Bedford, the pupils are already struggling to cope. Lulu Stainer-Martin is head teacher.
For some pupils, it might have an increase in epilepsy. We have some pupils who can't regulate the temperature. We have some pupils that might become more dysregulated.
And it's not just the young. Older people also find it hard to regulate their temperature. Mike Padgham is chair of the Independent Care Group, which represents social care providers in the UK.
They can become dehydrated very quickly. they can lose balance, they can be more confused, particularly with those people with dementia, so it's very important.
Human civilization rose up during roughly 12,000 years of unusual climate stability. The fear now is that the warming we've seen in the last few decades is starting to break that stability down. Stephen Belcher is the Met Office's chief scientist.
We will need to consider ourselves as living in a hot country. We will need to look after water. We'll need to change many of the things we do to live in a new climate.
And the Met Office has published a forecast for what a severe heat wave would look like in that new climate in 2056. Temperatures in England could peak at 45 degrees Celsius, 41 in Wales, 38 in Scotland, and 30 in Northern Ireland. Remember, this isn't Asia or Africa, but the Met Office's best guess for the UK in just 30 years' time.
Extreme heat is also causing disruption across large parts of Western Europe. In southern France, 2 children aged 2 and 4 were found dead in a car, apparently from heat suffocation after returning from a shopping trip with their mother. A maximum red heat wave alert now covers more than half of France, where temperatures have broken the average record for June. The heat is also touching 40 Celsius in Spain and Portugal. Police investigating maternity failings at Nottingham University Hospital's NHS Trust have arrested 2 men in connection with operating practices in its mortuary service. They are being held on suspicion of misconduct in a public office. The findings of an independent inquiry by the senior midwife, Donna Ockenden, into the Trust's maternity services will be published on Wednesday. The United States has said it will suspend sanctions on Iranian oil production and exports for 60 days in what appears to be the first tangible result from the ongoing peace talks between the two countries in Switzerland. The U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said Tehran had agreed to open the Strait of Hormuz and allow nuclear inspectors back into the country, although an Iranian spokesman later suggested no nuclear commitments had been made. Our Europe correspondent Jessica Parker reports from Bergenstock.
These talks have put in place structures for the negotiations and for resolving disputes, building on last week's interim agreement. Speaking before he left Switzerland, JD Vance highlighted the aims of ensuring ships can pass freely through the Strait of Hormuz and of implementing a fragile ceasefire in Lebanon between Israel and the Iran-backed armed group Hezbollah. The US Vice President also claimed that Iran had agreed to invite international nuclear inspectors back into their country. At a news conference, he was asked when that might happen.
In terms of when the nuclear inspectors are going to start, it's funny, we were trying to call some of the inspectors last night around 2 in the morning. As you can expect, not many people were answering their phone at 2 in the morning. I expect that will happen at the minimum this week.
Iran's foreign ministry later said it had not accepted any new commitments regarding its nuclear program. However, there does appear to be some quid pro quo in play, as the US also announced the easing of sanctions on Iran's oil sector for 60 days. That's about the same time frame that's been set by both sides for a final deal to be reached. The messaging around these talks has been upbeat, but negotiators face the task of tackling highly complex issues at high speed, including ones that have dogged US-Iran relations for decades.
Alan Greenspan, the influential economist who steered U.S. monetary policy for nearly 2 decades as chairman of the Federal Reserve, has died aged 100. He led the U.S. Central Bank during one of the longest periods of economic expansion in American history, but critics say his decisions helped to create the conditions for the 2008 global financial crisis. The American music executive Clive Davis, who shaped the careers of Aretha Franklin, Bruce Springsteen, and Whitney Houston, among many others, has died at the age of 94. He became a household name in the music industry despite not being a performer himself, having propelled acts from a wide range of genres to stardom. The musician Johnny Marr is putting the majority of his guitar collection up for sale. More than 90 instruments owned by the former Smiths guitarist will be auctioned in September. Our music correspondent Mark Savage has the details.
For £100,000, you could be the new owner of the cherry red Gibson that Johnny Marr used to write this.
Will not lead his party into the next general election. The former mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham, says he will run to replace Sir Keir. The former Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, has ruled out making his own leadership challenge and has instead backed Mr. Burnham. With his assessment, here's our political editor, Chris Mason.
Westminster is a postcode whose currency is power. Today, power shifted, and quickly. Two key moments led to one key likely outcome. First, Sir Keir Starmer's resignation. Much anticipated, yes, and not a novelty given the prime ministerial churn of recent years. But don't underestimate how profound these moments are, politically, personally. Sir Keir's voice cracking, his wife's lip trembling. The next big moment, not Andy Burnham's much-filmed odyssey from Manchester to London, but the former Health Secretary Wes Streeting throwing his lot in with Mr. Burnham. Mr. Streeting, astute enough to sense the political momentum, swinging so decisively behind Andy Burnham. Photographs of the former Mayor of Greater Manchester surrounded by hundreds of Labour MPs, the Chancellor Rachel Reeves, the former Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner among them, illustrate that shift in power and influence. It's not impossible someone else chooses to take on Andy Burnham, but it's increasingly likely he is Prime Minister in just a matter of weeks. Our fifth Prime Minister in the past 4 years.
Our political editor, Chris Mason. BBC News.
Vangelis. If you'd like further political news and analysis, download the BBC's Daily News podcast. It always brings some welcome insight. Head to BBC Sounds and search for Newscast.
This is a series about the attack, conflict within their own movements,
We might lose this fight, but we win the whole war.
and voices battling to be heard.
We indigenous peoples, we know how to conserve the environment.
10 fights that made the Green Movement with me, Justin Rowland. Weekday afternoons starting next Monday at 1:45. To listen on your smart speaker, just say play Radio 4.
Comedy now on Radio 4.
We present I'm Sorry I Haven't a Clue, the antidote to panel games. At the piano is Colin Sell, and your chairman is Jack D.
Welcome to I'm Sorry I Haven't a Clue. You join us this week in historic Cambridge. Recognised as the best university in the world in the Times World University rankings for the past decade, Oxford is a mere 66 miles away. Telegenic Cambridge served as the backdrop for the film Chariots of Fire. The film recounts the story of the devoutly religious athlete Eric Liddell, who famously refused to run on Sundays, a brave stance that went on to inspire Great Anglian's weekend train schedule. In 2017, Cambridge University introduced a poetry course devoted to the lyrics of Bob Dylan. Last year, the course made the news after it was revealed one student cheated in his Dylan exam by surreptitiously checking the blowing wind for the answers. Overdue Sydney Sussex College in 1668, only to be returned in 1956, 288 years overdue. No fine was issued and the book was put back into circulation. So head to the Sydney Sussex Library if you too want to borrow Mary Berry's The Joy of Baking. Many Cambridge colleges have idiosyncratic customs with ancient origins. For example, Gonville and Keys has a ceremonial green man who appears at formal occasions. The green man was long thought to have magical powers. According to medieval folklore, if a maiden stares for long enough into the eyes of the green man, her breasts will grow bigger. The annual boat race between Oxford and Cambridge dates back to 1829. This year's race, won by Cambridge, was marred by controversy when a rower in the Cambridge crew tested positive for being British. And talking about an anachronistic contest no one really cares about, let's meet the teams. On the left, please welcome Miles Jupp and Lucy Porter. And on the right, Tony Hawks and Henning Bain. And taking her place at the desk next to me to enjoy an evening of scoring, please welcome the ever delightful Samantha. Well, we begin this week with a round that's all about film. Hollywood loves a remake, but with cutbacks throughout the industry, classic films have been remade on a budget, and the titles reflect this. Recent cut-price remakes include Das Carboot, Easy Sue Rider, and of course, In Greg's with Madonna. Anyway, teams, I'd like you please to suggest cut-back films that would be ruined if one letter were to go missing from their titles. You can start this one, please. Miles.
Seeping Beauty.
Lucy.
Petty Woman.
Henning.
All Quit on the Western Front.
In 300 yards, turn right onto the Grove, A118.
Dude, here's my car. Oh bother, where art thou? Bridge of Pies.
Turn right onto the Grove, A118, then turn left onto Great Eastern Road.
Canal knowledge. Apocalypse No.
Maybe for Cambridge. Zorba the Geek.
Turn left onto Great Eastern Road, A118.
Casio Royale.
Lice in Wonderland. Puss in Boots.
In a quarter of a mile, turn left onto Service Route 3.
You can remove the letter yourselves on this one. The Count of Monte Cristo.
Well, it's time for a musical round now, as I ask the teams to sing one song to the tune of another. And providing piano accompaniment, we have Colin Sells. Incidentally, Colin tells us that after months of being unsigned, he's now attached to a label. Mrs. Sells says it's a huge relief as she no longer worries about him getting lost in Sainsbury's. Okay, we'll start with you, Miles Jupp. I'd like you to sing the words of Single Ladies by Beyonce to the tune of My Way. Say, to the tune of My Way.
We
love
you.
You
Make
us
feel
special.
Down.
There. Concern
Is
your
hot hot.
We
Don't
have
any
money,
or
tools,
or
materials,
or
motivation.
therefore
You
may
just
as
well
do
it
yourself.
Hope
That
this
message
helps
because
we
have
nothing
left
to
live
for.
Goodbye
From
Cambridge
City
Okay, well, on to the next round, and listeners may be aware of the popular TV show Last One Laughing, in which comedians try to make each other laugh. Now, this next round is identical in every way except for the glamorous set, the big name talents, the popularity, and the fact that it's just me that the comedians have to force a laugh from. Okay, teams, your task is to call out titles of popular songs, while mine is simply to say the words "in my pants" immediately after each song title without showing any audible sign of amusement. And you lot should. Henning.
I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts.
In my pants. Lucy.
What a wonderful world.
In my pants. Miles.
Place your hands.
In my pants.
Goodness gracious, great balls of fire.
In my pants.
You got to fight for your right to party.
Girls just want to have fun.
In my pants.
Misshapes.
In my pants.
In 200 yards,
Mama
turn
told
left
me not
onto
to
Sweetwater Place.
I'm only happy when it rains.
In my pants.
Turn left onto
Bad
Sweetwater
blood.
Place.
In my pants.
Shaft.
That's a stupid game. Well, it's now time for a round that's all about the world of broadcasting, which seems to announce a new programme commission daily. For example, Channel 5 recently launched a fly-on-the-wall medical documentary series following farm workers who've ended up in casualty. It's called 24 Hours in A&E-I-E-I-O. Now, the people whose job it is to come up with ideas for radio and TV shows can be remarkably lazy with their programme titles, so I'll ask the teams to assume the role of continuity announcers, introducing examples of programmes where the content has been contrived to suit what someone thought would make a clever title. You can start this, Miles.
At 4 o'clock this afternoon, the heartwarming tale of a
In
puppet
300
who longed
yards,
to be an
turn
ordinary
left
boy
onto
and whose
Marshgate
wish was
Lane.
granted. That's Andy Pandy Mountbatten Windsor.
Henning.
Turn left onto
Celebrities try
Marshgate
to
Lane.
guess who's behind the disguise, knowing only that the reveal won't be easy on the eyes. That's the masked Minger. Next.
Tony.
A rare chance to see a forgotten series from the 60s in which Arthur Lowe plays a family man who undergoes a sex change.
In 300
At
yards,
6:30,
turn
don't
right
miss
onto
Dad's
Waterden
Amy.
Road.
And Lucy.
Later on CBBC, the return of the Beatrix Potter favourite about a kindly hedgehog who offers free
Turn
manual
right onto
relief for
Waterden
many
Road.
woodland visitors. That's the tale of Mrs. Tuggywinkle.
Later on BBC4, Dr. Jake Bronowski teams up with a team of odour historians to ponder the changing olfactory nature of human flatulence over the course of the past 400,000
In a
years.
quarter of a mile,
That's the
turn left
Arsenal
onto
Man.
International Way.
Later on BBC4. On BBC 2 at 8 o'clock, David Jason's up to more creepy capers at the funeral parlour in Only Ghouls and Hearses. And now on BBC 2, a rerun of the classic costume drama about a young woman whose struggles to fulfil her romantic destiny lead to a period of stress incontinence in early spring. That's Pedal March. On BBC 2.
Streaming currently on iPlayer, classic 80s drama in which a group of unemployed men from Liverpool come to terms with their recent surgical castration. That's The Boys Who Now Lack Stuff.
Next up on Al Jazeera, we follow a band of ISIS extremists who've taken to wearing flamboyant 1950s teddy boy jackets alongside their traditional black military fatigues and balaclavas. That's Jihadi Wadi.
Well, the next game is a musical one entitled Song Stoppers. In this round, panellists from each team will take it in turn to sing the opening line to a series of well-known songs, and it's the job of their teammate to answer each opening line in a manner likely to end the song altogether. And then we have Colin Sell. Incidentally,
Turn
Colin
left
tells
onto
us the
International
high point of
Wave.